Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Sacred Visibility Catalyst, best-selling publisher and intentional living guide, Linda Joy. And I have another truly transformational and inspirational guest with me today. I want to begin with a question though. What would you do if you woke up every single morning feeling this sense of peace and direction in your life? What if you had a career you loved, relationships that nurtured you, financial stability, and good health? I don't know about you, but that's everything that I believe we all desire. It's a human need to want those things. Well, in today's empowering conversation, my guest, Jolie Dawn, shares that this way of being is not an unattainable fantasy or a daydream. And she'll be sharing some practical tools and perspective. Jolie is the author of Empowered, Sexy, and Free and creator of the Dare to Prosper Challenge, the largest women's prosperity meditation gathering online, attended by women in more than 50 countries. She specializes in helping women awaken their prosperity consciousness, embody their deepest truth, and reclaim personal freedom and creativity. An intuitive business coach and writer, she's the founder of Prosperity Queendom, an online business training platform for spiritual entrepreneurs. Jolie, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Linda Joy, for having me.
Well, Jolie and I were just talking offline, and, I've read her book, and I had to say to her, I'm just so touched and honored to have you on the show, Jolie. But in your book, something really touched my heart. It was your truth and vulnerability around your own journey. Because sometimes I find that a lot of us in the online world, and I think it's a human thing, we go, oh, look at Jolie. She's got this magical business. She is rocking it. But there's a layer of stories that led to this transformational work you're doing in the world. And when I read your book, and the depth of vulnerability and authenticity and sharing your story, it just really touched me. So I'm so honored that you're here to share parts of your own story, as well as some practical tools and perspectives for our listeners.
Such an honor. I love getting the opportunity to inspire and share my story and explore the realms of depth and vulnerability. So thank you for having this refreshing conversation with me.
You're welcome. Let's start with what led you to name the book Empowered, Sexy, and Free? Because I got to tell you, when you hold the book and you see the title, it has an energy about it. So I'm just curious, because I love talking to people about their book titles, because this one's really energetic. So tell us about that.
I went away in 2015 to write this book in a little cabin in Lake Arrowhead. And I spent days and days channeling the book and in a process that I call being creatively possessed, just allowing the words to flood my field and letting go of any other distractions in my life and getting so focused on this book. And I went into a meditation and I connected to spirit and I said, what is this book? What does it want to be named? I want it to be explicit. I want it to be edgy. I want it to feel like it can really capture the wisdom and the words of this book. And I just heard it in a flash: empowered, sexy, and free. I wrote down those 3 words and I was like, is that the title of this book? And then I resisted it and I was even triggered by it. I'm like, who am I to write a book that's called Empowered, Sexy, and Free? Because though I've come really far in my life, to be the woman that authors that book feels like, oh, such a stretch of my personality. So it really came to me in just a moment of clarity. And even though I felt resistance, I never wavered. And it's been that name of the book for over 7 years.
Well, I love it. And I want to share the subtitle also, because one word is one of my favorite words. So the subtitle is Discover Your Unique Brilliance and Dare to Be the Creatrix of Your Life. And I'm always drawn to that word creatrix. So let's go back a little bit, because your life wasn't always the way it is as the creator of the Dare to Prosper Challenge, as well as Prosperity Queendom, right? An online business training platform. You had a life of struggle, of darkness in some places. So bring us back to that, to those times, but with the intention of sharing that moment that you knew you were ready for something different.
Mm. I think of it like this, that the people who bring us into this world, or the people that raise us, or our caretakers, are essentially our life coaches for most of us the first 18 years of our lives. And while both of my parents were extraordinary and loving, and I felt so wanted as a child, there's a lot of aspects about the way that I was raised that I definitely wouldn't intentionally hire those two people to train me about being successful in life and be well adjusted in life. And one of the two things in both of them is choosing to live. And when I was just 20 years old, my dad made the very permanent decision to take his life. I watched him spin out in a mental health crisis following the 2008 economic collapse. And it was devastating as a young woman to look at her father, her role model, her confidant, her rock, someone who had always been so stable in my life, and to do such a violent act to himself, to not choose to be here on the planet at the age of 62 when I was just 20 years old. And in that moment that he made that decision in 2010, I really lost both of my parents, because my mom never recovered. She did not want to be alive on the planet without her husband and her partner. He was definitely her true love. They were each other's true love, though there was lots of conflict. And I watched her not choose to live. And she really spiraled into a very deep depression that lasted about 9 years, until her passing in 2019 when I was 29 years old. So I watched these two people that were my role models and, in essence, my life coaches, not choose to live, not choose to fully be here. And I think it takes a really brave soul to know what you signed up for in this human experience, that you weren't pushed here, you weren't forced here, that this was an active assignment of choice. And a lot of the darkness of my journey was when I was experiencing resistance to being here. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to numb. I didn't want to feel my emotions. I didn't want to feel the pain of holding up the burden of both of my parents' mental illnesses, and feeling this loneliness and this lack of belonging in life. And the word you used was darkness, and there's no other way to describe it when, like, your world gets dark and things feel heavy and the joy seems to go. And I had a real moment of awakening, and luckily this was in my early 20s, where I could see the road ahead. If I chose to be here in this human body but not really choosing to live, what a struggle this life would be. And so I made a deal with God. I made a deal with the divine, with spirit, whatever you want to call it, the designers, the creators. And I said, I'm here for a reason. I get that. I get that I'm alive at this time in history. I'm a very passionate person. I'm a very social person. I have a huge heart and desire to love other people, especially the downtrodden. And I have a lot of natural compassion. My feminine heart is huge. And I just said, Spirit, use me. Like, I don't want to go through this life resisting being alive. I don't want to repeat the story of my parents. I want to take all the best things that they gave me, the love and creativity and drive, and I want to make something of my life.
Oh my God, what a beautiful awareness, first off, to have, especially in that at that age, and when you were in a dark spot. So there's always been this light within you. You just finally decided to live from the light instead of from the pain.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. That the light was there. And even though it got dimmed for many years there, when I was had my journey with addiction, substance abuse, not wanting to feel, not wanting to face reality, dimming my power. And it's a journey. It's a practice to be on the road of to an empowered, sexy, and free woman is not a destination. You don't get there one day and it's like, I've made it. I'm empowered. I got there. I can check out from life, or I found my financial freedom or my sexiness. It is a lifelong commitment. It is a devotion. When you fall off the horse and you're feeling not sexy and you're feeling disempowered and you're feeling trapped, the practice is to come home. And it's always about coming home to yourself.
I always see it as a spiral, right? Like I always say for decades, I've said, if anyone tells you you're there, run, because there is no there. It's evolution. We are always unfolding, right? We are always shedding the next layers. So I love what you just said, because it's part of our journey is to keep unfolding. There is no final destination of, okay, we don't have to do any more work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So go ahead.
There's a tendency to want to make it somewhere and chasing that next carrot. So just exactly that, the commitment to the journey.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful. And in your the intro to the book, you mention about removing energetic weight that is no longer serving them. For those who may not know what that phrase means, just give an overview of that and why it's so important.
Emotion lives in the body beyond time and space. Meaning, if you got a divorce and didn't go through the self compassion practice and the forgiveness and working through those emotions, it doesn't matter how many years goes by. Emotions of shame and anger and the vast array of emotions can stay frozen in the body as energy. Energy is never created nor destroyed. We all know that law of physics. And the emotions in the body work the same way. And this is when I started to get into more holistic healing and energy healing and being aware of my own energy. If I wanted to be a woman who created an abundant future, a powerful future, a future with opportunity, and to know myself as a rapid manifester, if I was holding on to a past version of me, that would show up as energetic weight. One of the examples is that I always believed that because of the instability of money that I grew up around and my parents' patterns with money, that I just wouldn't be able to be a high earner. That was for other people. It was for girls that were women who were more organized and smarter than me and more disciplined than me. And everything that I believed to be a woman who was wealthy and affluent and an investor and took care of herself wasn't me. And it took so much work on myself to let go of those stories. And exactly that term, energetic weight. There was an energetic weight on me of fear, of doubt, of overwhelm, of telling myself stories of the future that would limit me. And when I started to have these breakthroughs, this is when we can have an intervention on our future. And I'm so proud of the woman I am, running nearly a 7-figure business. We got just shy of 7 figures last year, investing in real estate, planning out my taxes, saving money, like really setting up my future in a way that just wouldn't have been possible if I was holding on to this energetic weight, an old story of the past, any feelings of shame. I got to create myself newly because I was willing to face the most painful things about me and create a new story.
Oh, I am loving this conversation. It just so resonates with me because we shared offline, we share similar journeys, not the same, but the decades of struggle when we were young. And I believe it's what fueled me to do the work I do with women around the world. So we're going to take our first break, Jolie, and we'll be right back to dive deeper into this conversation. I am with Jolie Dawn, author of Empowered, Sexy, and Free. I invite you to visit her at joliedawn.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM radio network.
Inspiration for a Woman's Soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration Partners. Claim your Aspire magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTRFM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me today is the inspiring Jolie Dawn. So, Jolie, you were just talking about the importance of removing energetic weight that's no longer serving us. Can you share some examples of how this weight might show up in our lives? Because for some, the conversation of energy may be new, but I know they'll recognize maybe some of the signs and symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about one of the root, most dense, heavy emotions, that is shame. Shame is so low vibrating on the scale of consciousness, it's 20 points, and only less than shame is death, flatlining. And so shame is this really dense, heavy emotion that lives in the body. When we feel shame about something, it really challenges us to create a new future. So if we're feeling shame about a breakup, if we're feeling shame about conflict in our family, it stays with us. There's a really simple formula that maybe some of you have heard before, and it goes like this. For anything that you want to create in your life, anything for the future, first is be, then do, then have. The state of being is the foundational attraction point of anything that you desire. So if you want to be a millionaire woman, how does a millionaire woman feel? What are her thoughts? What are her belief system? And we can even use the word vibration. What is the energy in her body that she is vibrating out on a daily basis? Does she wake up feeling good? Does she wake up feeling grateful? Does she go to bed at night feeling content and settled and peaceful? The state of being then informs the doing. It informs the action. So the way that you're feeling about yourself informs the way you take care of yourself. It informs the way you show up to your work, to your dharma, to your purpose. For example, if somebody's feeling really bad about her weight, about her body, the state of being is guilt and anger at herself. It informs her actions, which is the never-ending perpetual cycle of overeating. Our beingness informs our action, and our action informs our having. So if she's feeling anger, if she's feeling that lack of confidence, it will then lead her to more activities that deprive her of self-love, maybe overeating, maybe not moving in the way that she likes to move. And then that informs the having. What's the result? The result is the same body that she continues to complain about. So if we flip this formula and look at the state of being as the foundation of everything, how do we practice a feeling of peace? How do we practice a feeling of manifestation and having as if my entire life was magic happening for me? This all was happening for me. My state of being is strong. She is resilient. When she is upset, she feels her emotions. She is real with herself. She is true. Now that informs her actions and the way that she shows up in the world. And this is how other people can relate to you. How are you showing up out there? And that informs the having.
The way you describe this is like, oh my God, it's so simple to understand. And I love like your energy of as you're describing it, but the being, the attraction point that you explained, it took me years, it took me decades to get that. We do manifesting, I believe I did manifesting backwards. It's like, I am going to say my affirmations, I'm going to say this and wait for something from the outside to come. But as you just described, until we can be it, we can't have it. We have to feel it as if it already is.
That's it. I love this conversation so much because it's so simple. And I know that it's something that all of our listeners today, you can take this with you. You can take this with you. How do you practice everything that you want, everything that you desire? First, believing that you are worthy of having it, believing that it is so possible. If you want to meet the love of your life, do you want to be having the best sex of your life? If you want your strongest, most healthy body, are you willing to claim the things that you desire? Are you willing to just name that I want that? I want to meet my beloved. I want to feel my bank account spacious and overflowing. I want to feel free when it comes to paying my bills. And I deserve this. I deserve to love this one wild and precious life. And I'll do the work that it takes. I will put in the effort because I'm worth it. I will practice my state of being. I will practice feeling good every day. I will practice a state of peace and presence. And one of the greatest vibrational hacks is gratitude. Can I be grateful for everything in my life just as it is right now without needing to change anything? That is one of the biggest practices, and it's so simple and it's so foundational that sometimes it registers in the mind as cliche, like, okay, gratitude. Yeah, I already got that one. But do you really? Can you be so present in this moment? Something that you judge is not good enough, something that you believe that you would need to be anywhere other than where you are right now. Can you practice being here fully and accept? If I look around my life, this is exactly my creation. Everything in my life is something that I've created for myself. When you take that radical self-responsibility, you open up a personal power, a vault, a reservoir of power to be able to create anything because you're responsible for your life around you.
Powerful, powerful statement right there. Because for so many of us, I'll speak for myself, I always thought I was the victim. That was the energy for the first 30 years of my life, the victim of life. It wasn't until I had that pivot that I'm the creator of my life. Everything that's happening in it was a reflection of inside of me. So I'm so turned on by this conversation because it's one of my favorite conversations. And I want to bring up a chapter in the book that I was drawn to all of it, but this one just is such a match for our conversation. It's chapter 12. And I love the title, by the way. I am a manifesting queen. I always say I'm a master manifester. So I really was drawn to this chapter. And you have 7 steps, right, to turn on your manifesting superpowers. And it covers a lot of what you're really explaining then. And it's visualize and desire and believe, accept, intend, act, and release. And in your book, you guide the reader through those 7 steps. Now, those 7 steps, are they the foundation of what you teach, like in the Dare to Prosper Challenge, as well as in the Prosperity Queendom?
Yes. I love making things simple because, when I started my journey, it felt so complex and unattainable. And I was like, just give me the simplicity. That's how my brain works. And so in this chapter, I am a manifesting queen. We visualize it. We begin with seeing it. Everything starts with a vision. Can you see your love entering your life? Can you see your bank account full? Let's start there. And even if you can't see it right now, can you pretend? Can you pretend? I remember when I was just getting started in writing, I couldn't see myself as an author. It was just too big of a version of me. So I pretended. I was like, if I could see myself as an author, and if I knew how to write a table of contents, what would I do right now? So borrowing on a future version of yourself to start with, visualize. And then let yourself feel that in your body with desire and belief. Can you generate a feeling of having? I get turned on by my future all the time. I think about when I'm going to hold my baby in my arms and meet my king and have a family of my own. I'm 32 and I'm just like feeling my womb speaking to me louder than ever, being so ready for that. And I can feel it. I can feel it. I can get excited. I can also be patient at the same time, knowing this happens in perfect timing. I accept. So number 4, I accept it just as it is. I accept this version of myself. I let it land as ease in my body and I keep practicing until I get there. Then one that I want to mention that is so important is the last step, is 7, which is release. So this is the form of sacred detachment. Can you want something with your whole heart, body, and soul, and also at the same time be in complete surrender and trust? I was just playing with this field yesterday. I had an 8-hour flight from Honolulu to Austin, Texas. I live on the island of Kauai and I own real estate in Austin. So I was making a trip out and I really wanted a first class flight. I did. And the flight was, when I looked in the first class, was more than I wanted to spend. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to be in coach. It's going to be a day trip. I'm just going to read. I'll be totally fine. Once you experience first class, at least for me, it's like the standard of what I desire. It's what my body really loves. And it's something that I love to treat myself to. But this particular first class flight was it was too much. It was probably about twice as much as I'd be willing to spend on a trip like this. And I just kept the possibility there. And I talked to Spirit. I was like, all right, Spirit, if I'm whatever lesson I'm meant to learn, like I don't try to pretend that I know better than God. If this is a moment for me to humble myself and sit and coach and be just so okay with the present moment, I'll take that journey and I'll take that lesson because I know that I'll be perfectly safe and fine and comfortable in coach. And if there's a lesson for me about expanding and receiving and being in the joy of first class, then I'll take that lesson. And so I asked 3 times. My first time was on the phone and the woman said, you bought the basic economy ticket. My assistant booked this for me and there's no upgrade possible. I was like, okay, no problem. Then I got to the airlines and I checked in and checked my bag. Can I upgrade to first class? She's like, you bought the basic economy ticket. There's no upgrade available. Okay, no problem. Then I go to the gate person and I just check in one last time. I'm like, is there a first class flight available? She's like, actually, yeah, there's one. And we can do that and she named the price and it was 50% less than what I'd been quoted before. And I was like, you have a deal. Yes. It's actually more like 60% off. And I sat in first class and I received it and I sipped my little glass of wine and I got to revel in the pleasure of getting to be in my own pod for 8 hours and having the extra space and not as like ever going to sleep on the privilege of being able to have that. Never taking for granted how grateful I am to get to pay to have that kind of experience and get to afford that kind of experience. And I truly, Linda, was in so much surrender around it. And I was like, Spirit, you take this one. I'm going to ask for what I want because I know what I want. And I'm going to remain completely detached. And that is one of the keys of manifestation that people, like if you get this one to the listener here today, if you really truly get the art of detachment and surrender and trusting God's spirit life in every single moment, you will start to see rapid manifestation on a whole other level because life desires to surprise and delight you. Life wants for you what you want for yourself. And the willingness to be like, I am okay. I am content and peaceful in joy no matter what happens. I am in love and I am proud of myself, whether I attract my love or not. I am prosperous on the inside and I am an abundance queen no matter what my bank account says. It's that level of detachment and surrender and trust that will speed all this up for you.
Oh my God. I'm getting soul bumps from all the wisdom you're sharing. Our belief systems are so in alignment. And I know our listeners are taking notes as I've been doing on my little Post-it notes. We're going to take a break, Jolie. And when we come back, I want to talk about journaling because you are a major proponent of it. And we'll be back in a moment. I am with Jolie Dawn, author of Empowered, Sexy, and Free. Learn more at joliedawn.com. We'll be right back.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Are you feeling the call to unleash your feminine wisdom, hone your empathic gifts, and rise as the goddess you are? You're not alone, my beautiful friend. Crystal Cockerham, spiritual mentor and certified red tent facilitator, trained in both shamanic and priestess practices, works with awakened, empathic women around the world to unlock their shackles of pain, shame, and self-condemnation so they can reclaim their sovereignty and liberate themselves from the world's perceptions. As the founder of Wisdom Awakens and an international best-selling author, Crystal uses her own intuitive blend of spiritual midwifery and energy healing to support women on their journey of transformation. You'll find supportive guidance and community in Crystal's programs, retreats, and sacred offerings. If you're feeling the call to embrace your feminine power, learn more about Crystal's supportive services at crystalcockerham.com.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Hailing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Hailing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back, my friends. You're listening to Inspired Conversations, and with me today is Jolie Dawn talking about surrender, acceptance, manifesting, owning your worth, and so much more. So I'm still buzzing from that last segment. So you're a major proponent of the benefits of journaling. What are some of the examples you can use of journaling practice that you use in your own life and recommend to others?
So here's the thing. Our current and modern world is moving so fast. We can all agree. The level of distractions and demands on our attention is all-time high. And evolutionarily speaking, it's new for us. It's new for our brain to process this kind of data, to be able to pick up a device that's next to us 24/7, to be able to tap into a world of thousands of friends, hundreds to thousands of friends via social media, and see people's coffee and who they're with and the success and their complaints or whatever your social media feed looks like. And it's great. It's beautiful. I love social media with my whole heart. It has allowed me to do a lot in my career and social life. I love it. And I am very aware that my attention is being gobbled up and that there's constant distractions of me. And so one of the ways and one of the practices that I really tune into myself to be able to hear my own thoughts, to be able to be connected on a very subtle level to my life and my desires and my creations is through the practice of writing. I believe that writing and quiet contemplation is something of a lost art. And it's honestly a shame because what we're losing is wisdom. What we're losing is presence. And I know to the woman who's listening to this, you're listening to a podcast to take time for yourself. So you're the type of woman, just tells me a lot by your just being here, which is your willingness to tune into an inspiring conversation, to feed yourself with wisdom. So I know I'm talking to my people here. And the practice of writing, there's just nothing like it. Meditation has its place, exercise has its place, nutrition has its place. And for me, writing is up there with one of my most coveted spiritual practices because of how effective it is. When I am able to put pen to paper and be alone with my thoughts, tune into my emotions, talk to my higher self, talk to God, and whatever spiritual beliefs that I have to be able to tune into those spiritual beliefs, it allows me to reconnect to myself faster than anything else.
Oh my God. And I love that you said pen to paper. So you don't do it digitally, because I'm like you, I have to do it longhand. And I find like I'm more connected to my truth longhand. Have you found the difference there too?
Yeah, digitally is second best. If that's all you have, fine. The best is actually physically pen to paper. There's something really important about the hand to brain coordination and connection that has us remember things better. I mean, studies show that notes taken by hand, pen to paper, are more easily retained in the memory than digitally. There's something about actually writing out the words letter by letter where you get to embody the words differently.
Oh, I so agree, and I enjoy it. My honey, we just built a house 2 years ago. We sold our big house right next door to five nuns, and we live in the middle of the woods on the water. And he knows me. I need my space, right? I'm an introvert, and love the quiet time. And he built me a goddess nook right inside my office. And I go in there with my crystals and curl up with my fuzzy blankie and my journal, and that's my sacred time. That's my time when I connect to my source. That's the time I hear my truth. So I myself have found it so important for me. And I'll be honest, sometimes I'll slack. I don't like that word because it's a judgment word, but I let it fall away. And then I get that yearning of, oh, that's what's missing. And I go back to my journaling.
Oh, it's such a beautiful visual. I see this woman taking care of herself, and the feeling that I get in my body seeing you do that, Linda, is like, she's so healthy. She's so healthy. And that's all I could want for women is like, what is your routine that gets you reconnected to you? Let's do that. Let's have all women take a step back from the world and their family and have a moment to be like, oh, these are my needs. This is what I'm feeling. This is what triggered me today. And I'm going to be patient and present with myself and feel the hurt and feel the upset. I'm going to process this in my journal and be quiet for a minute. And even though it's not an easy practice, there's a million other things in our life that seem more important than having quiet time. The payoff, the reward of actually having a devoted practice is so huge.
Oh my God, it is. It's how I stay centered in order to be of service to so many, my community, my clients, my family. So it's key for me. So what are some of the examples of journaling practices that you use?
Yeah, so the first place that I start is checking in with myself. And so a common way that I journal is I actually just write from spirit to me and me to my spirit. So I actually write to myself like, Jolie, you're doing such an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. Look at all that you're creating in your life and you're doing amazing. For me, my top love language is words of affirmation. And so hearing that I'm doing great and filling myself in that way is one of my greatest self-love practices. And then I'll receive from spirit, where whatever that greater source is. I often channel my mom and like, what would my mom say to me if she were here right now? My mom passed in 2019. And what would my guides, what would my angels, what would my ancestors say to me? And it sounds something like, Jolie, you're on path. How beautiful it is to witness a woman living her dharma with as much as you love and as much as you give. And then what kind of spiritual wisdom am I craving? Like, it's okay to feel your feelings right now. It's okay to be triggered about that situation with your friend. It's okay to feel angry with what's going on in the world. It's okay to feel frustrated with the global events. Every single one of your feelings is valid. And so I do a lot of talking in the third person. And in the book, I actually give a bunch of different, I'm gonna actually flip to that page, a bunch of different types of journaling. And one of them is just making a list of gratitude. If I can be here right now and expand my feeling of gratitude, this signifies to the universe that I want more of this thing. How do I actually create more of the thing that I want? Is to receive what I currently have.
Love it. And I'm noticing too in the journaling prompts on in the area of I am the creatrix of my life, you do something I love to do is dear money. I usually say dear abundance, but you wrote a letter to money, right? Like you journal to money. And I'm like, and I love that you shared the examples. I got the book in front of me. I got to put it down so we can talk. But I love how you have the conversation with your soul, right? Because don't you find that as you're having that conversation, it's almost like your ego gets out of the way and truth just flows.
Yeah. And one of the other suggestions, I just flipped to the page and reminded myself, is write a wish list of the universe. So to be in constant asking, and not as a way of what I have right now is not enough, but as an active creatrix of your life. The creatrix is she who creates her life intentionally. And one of my favorite things to do is review my journal and actually see how many of my manifestations come to life. And this is how I build this muscle of trust. Like, I know myself as a rapid manifestor. I just closed on a house, a rental unit in Austin, and I put in one offer, I got the offer, I beat out a bunch of different cash offers. It's an incredibly aggressive market right now. And that's like, I play in the realm of miracles. And it's not an uncommon thing for me to have things work out in my favor because of the way that I move through life. I am so humbled and grateful to be here. It's a practice of mine to love this life, to love being here, to be in such humility with spirit, to say, God, use me. I want to have a purpose. I want to feel happiness. I want to feel like I'm a contribution. And so writing a wish list to the universe is like starting to like pick off the menu of how do I want this life to feel? I want to grow my real estate investment portfolio. I want to, oh my gosh, my favorite one recently was I was on the island of Kauai. It's a huge housing crisis there. There's very, very little housing options for the locals that live there. And I was in this small condo. I moved from a beach house to a small condo, and it was cramping my vibe a lot. I was like, oh, I don't like being here. I need to be connected to the earth. And instead of complaining and instead of feeling bad, believe me, I had my moments of complaining and feeling bad. I did not bypass that. Instead of being the victim to not being where I wanted to be, I spent my afternoons daydreaming about what I truly wanted. And even though I had signed a year lease, I was like, something's coming for me. A magical opportunity is coming. I feel land. I feel fruit trees. I feel the sun on my skin. I feel being so excited to be here. And then within a few short weeks, truly, I got invited to live in a 5-acre estate with 35 fruit trees on a farm that backs up to 500 acres of natural Kauaian untouched raw land with waterfalls. And it's a dream. My friends come to my house. They're like, how in the world did you manifest this? And I said, I was clear on what I wanted. I received it in my body. I remained detached. And I was just so in the desire of what my body wanted to feel, which is land. I wanted land. And then I go back to my journal where I was writing these things out, and I put huge check marks, and I'm like, this was manifested. Like, I did it. We did it. Because life, again, I'm going to remind all of us, life wants for us what we want. Life desires to pour into us, to receive through us, to experience gratitude through us. And so my desires are not separate from that of God. And by my staying true to what I wanted and not giving up, it's able to actually come to me.
Oh my God, what a magical experience. What a blessing. And I love hearing stories like that. We are going to take our final break before the last 10 minutes of the show. And when we come back, I want to talk about what prosperity means to you and what's the most important thing you want someone who wants more of it in her life needs to know. So I'll be back in a moment with Jolie Dawn. I invite you to grab a copy of her book, Empowered, Sexy, and Free, and learn more about her empowering work at joliedawn.com. We'll be right back, my friends.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Are you a highly sensitive, empathic woman ready to release the layers of false beliefs and emotional blocks holding you back from living the life you deserve and desire? Now is the time to clear those false beliefs sabotaging your life so you can access the joy and possibility waiting for you on the other side. Neurotransformational coach Kathy Castile, herself a highly sensitive, is passionate about supporting and empowering women in reclaiming their self-worth, finding their authentic voice, and in releasing the layers of sabotaging beliefs holding them back. Kathy trained with Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, and Sean Smith, and intuitively merges numerous coaching, leadership, and healing methodologies to serve the entire spectrum of human behavior, creating transformational changes so you can make long-lasting breakthroughs in your life. Learn more at Kathy-Castile.com.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is OTRFM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. So, Jolie, in our last segment, I'm curious, what does prosperity mean to you? And what's the most important thing you want a listener who wants more prosperity in her life? What does she need to know?
My favorite topic. I get so excited to talk about this. Prosperity is a way that you move through your life with magic in the field of possibility, with knowing yourself to be the manifester and creator of everything that you desire. The feeling of prosperity in the body is a deep sense of knowing. It is a deep sense of trust. It is a feeling of knowing your self-worth and your value beyond anything happening in the external. And also, the most important thing that I love teaching about prosperity is that it's a practice. It is a practiced way of being. It's my spiritual devotion. It is like my yoga. It is a feeling that I practice over and over again because I had decades of my life practicing the feeling of scarcity, believing in a world of lack and not enoughness, believing in a reality that is hard and expensive and that money is hard and you have to work hard, and all of these beliefs that made it not fun. And so prosperity is not something that you get to, like we talked about before, as like some destination, like I've arrived. I am now a prosperous woman. I can check out and live this way for the rest of my life. It is a continual way of being, and it's a felt experience in the body. We all know very successful people, rich people, millionaires, billionaires, and beyond that don't actually feel affluent, that don't feel spacious, that don't even spend the money or enjoy the money that they've created. So the actual number in your bank account does not equal the feeling of prosperity. And to prosper wildly is holistic prospering. Like, I can't just prosper and call myself a prosperous woman by just having more than enough money. For me, it is health. It is feeling good in my body. It is being full of self-love. It's being prosperous and abundant with relationships and friendships. And one of the things that makes me feel the most prosperous is fun, having fun in my life and dancing on the weekends and having really amazing curated social events. So prosperity is a commitment. It is a way of being, and it is your belief about yourself as you move through the world.
Oh my God, your description just gives me those soul giggles again, right? That's a phrase I use when it's like a knowing of truth. It is so much deeper than, like you said, the number in your bank account or the cash you have on hand. It's an energy of the essence of who you are. It's like connecting with the divine flow of life.
Yes. Yes.
Such a beautiful conversation today, my friend. I am so excited to bring your transformational message to my audience. This is such an important topic. And I have just more of a personal question as we close out the last few moments. Is what's the biggest lesson you learned in your spiritual and self-discovery journey that you believe was the catalyst to everything? So the biggest lesson you learned in your spiritual self-discovery journey.
There's a quote that comes to mind, and it's so simple, but I remember how profound this was for me, which was, you win just by playing. You win just by playing. And so this message to everybody listening is, get yourself in the game, create, try new things, get out there and get a little bit uncomfortable, because what you can't see is that every single time that you put your energy and your love and your commitment into something, it comes back to you beyond what you can measure. So get out there and try new things, try new practices, take yourself to a bookstore and buy a lovely, beautiful journal and start getting reconnected to yourself. And if you are feeling lost, if you're feeling confused in life, be so compassionate and gentle. This human experience is not for the faint of heart. It takes a bold, courageous woman to sign up and being here. So get yourself in the game. You showing up, creating, activating those powers, there's winning in that.
Oh, there is. And there's a quote from your intro I want to share as we come to a close. It's at the end and it says, "It's time, ladies, to open up to a life of extraordinary happiness and possibility. It's time to turn on your creatrix superpowers, that part of you that knows how to create your life on command. This life experience gets to be your paradise if you choose it to be." That is so beautiful. It's like such a beautiful, sacred call to action, Jolie. And I want to invite everyone to accept Jolie's invitation to create your life by going to joliedawn.com, grabbing a copy of Empowered, Sexy, and Free, and learn more about the sacred offerings that she's bringing forth on her journey as a creatrix. Jolie, this has been such a beautiful, sacred, and insightful conversation. I am so grateful that you were able to join me today.
You are so wonderful. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you to everybody who's listening. Be blessed.
Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.